What was the inspiration for starting the business? Because then we can pivot onto more businessy stuff. Is that cool?
Yeah, so I mean, it's quite a unique story, to be honest. So I worked for a housing association, and they were doing kind of the whole social housing sector. Were doing an innovation program. So they wanted to do a 16-week program that was very much like being on The Apprentice. That's all I can compare it to, because there was times where we'd be in a taxi on the phone to each other, like thinking, "Oh my God, this is exactly like being on The Apprentice." And what they did is they brought together kind of, I guess, people that they thought had entrepreneurial
Hmm.
kind of spirit,
Hmm.
um, to have a look at some of the kind of biggest challenges that society is facing. So things like poverty,
Hmm.
homelessness, aging, some of those really big issues. And they kind of put us into groups across the country. We were based in Leeds for 16 weeks. And we were given the challenge of aging, and we were kind of given this, how do we support our residents to live more independently in their homes for longer? That was kind of like the strapline we were given. So we just had a total blank canvas. So there were six of us that were being thrown together, different backgrounds, completely different job roles, different ages, and just kind of said, solve this problem, come up with a solution, please. And super daunting for us, because none of us had really worked in aging before. It
Hmm.
wasn't something we knew a lot about, but I actually think that worked in our advantage, because
Hmm.
we didn't have any preconceptions. We kind of could come at it from a completely fresh perspective. So we were given this kind of 16-week period to look at different ideas, and we tried to solve the whole world. We thought, initially we were like, "Oh, let's come up with an idea that solves absolutely every problem someone can experience as they start to grow old."
Hmm.
Obviously, we had 16 weeks, completely unrealistic, couldn't do it. So we then kind of said, actually, where I was, I think, just turned 30, so I was having my own crisis of aging, but at a different level. Um, so we were kind of saying, we don't have those life experiences that people
Hmm.
who are aging have. So where do we look? Where do you go for people that are experiencing this? Generally, you go to the people that family, friends. And my gran, she's not with us any longer, but she has been the inspiration for everything that we've done. So she was one of the first people I went to kind of have a look at, what are you actually struggling with in your house? What are the things you like? What don't you like? What are the challenges? Um, and that combined with a bunch of research that we did that said that minor adaptations to the home can actually make the biggest difference to
Hmm.
keeping people supported, independent, mobile. Um, and that's the things like the plastic grab rails that you'll see kind of on the outside of people's houses, in their bathrooms. They're the things that, if we put those in someone's home, can
Hmm.
prevent falls,
Hmm.
prolong independence, all of those really great things. However, um, there's a reason that we're not getting them installed often enough. We're not doing it early enough. And my gran was the perfect example of this. I kind of went to her and said, why aren't you getting these things installed? You need them.
Hmm.
And for her, it was like, well, have you seen them? Take a look at them. They're horrible. They remind me of a hospital. They make me feel like an old woman. And she was 87, but she was, you only say,
Yeah.
you're as old as you feel. She was still kind of up for drinking Prosecco and having pizza on a Friday night, and she would want to go shopping all the time. And her lifestyle was that of, not someone that wants to
Hmm.
feel like an 87-year-old woman. She wanted to feel like she was still in her 30s. So why does she want something in her home
Hmm.
that is a constant reminder of the things that she can't do anymore, a
Hmm.
loss of independence, that stigma that you're an older person, that you've got a disability? So for her, that was a big issue. When we realized, actually, that's a huge issue across the whole country, is that,
Whole world.
people, yeah, and across the world, yeah, it's much bigger than just us. There's so many products and services for older people, for disabled people, that are just packed with negative stigma. There's
Hmm.
so much negativity around these products that
Hmm.
exist. The market that's created has just fostered those negative stereotypes. So we were like, why is this being allowed to happen? Why have we got all of these products that do make people feel really bad? It is affecting people's mental health.
Hmm.
So we kind of said, actually, is the solution not really simple? Don't we just design better, design for dignity, just create products that I would be equally proud to have in my home as my gran or anyone else would have in their home, despite their ability or their age. So we came up with a suite of products that are kind of dual purpose products. So they're things that completely blend into the home, things that you wouldn't notice or would stick out as a disability or mobility product. So it's things like a toilet roll holder, a shelf, a towel rail, things that you would potentially have in the bathroom anyway, but actually we've just combined them with a support element. So actually you can grab onto them if you slip in the shower. You can use the loo roll if you need to help to get off the toilet or on. So really simple solutions. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing, huge, but actually something really simple can make a massive difference. And then my favorite one, my grand's favorite one, was the plant pot holder that goes on the outside of the house to help you get in and out of that step. And the thing with that one is that carries the most negative stigma because it's on the outside of someone's home. And generally, that's seen as a bit of a label that there's an older or disabled person living in that property. So that person then can become a target for doorstep crime, which does happen quite a lot. And again, it's kind of ironic that a product that's supposed to help make someone safer is actually identifying them as a potential victim. So there's a lot of stuff that was tied up in this that we said, we can do something better here. We can really make a difference. So we came up with this suite of products. We took them to sort of at the end of our apprentice type.
Wait, you did this in 16 weeks?
We did it in 16
It's
weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we came up with we got
I
the
thought you were
maid.
just giving me 2 years worth of work.
No, this was the 16 weeks. Yeah. So we got the maid. We got a designer from Manchester to kind of help us come up with the ideas and to help put the products together. We got the maid, handmade in the UK. And then we got them kind of screwed to a wall to show how they would look in a bathroom. And we took them to this kind of big presentation where we had to do a big pitch. So the whole journey was like The Apprentice, but then the pitch we had to do was like Dragon's Den. They had like a panel, and we had to kind of say, this is what we've come up with in this 16 weeks. So we pitched, we were lucky enough at the time that the Prime Minister happened to be at the housing conference, and we got a 30-second pitch with her, and it just blew up. People were just like, this is such a simple idea, but why has no one thought of it before? Why aren't we kind of doing better for our tenants, for our residents? So there was a huge push. People were asking to buy these products. We had 4 of them screwed to a wall in London. We were like, we can't sell them. We hadn't tested them or anything at that point. And then we got invited to number 10 as well. So we've got this 30-second pitch. It was Theresa May at the time. And because ageing was such a big agenda for the government, they then kind of invited us to number 10 for a round table. Again, we got all of this kind of support, and we thought, we're just like 6 Northerners who have come up with a really simple idea, not expecting to get any of this attention and any of this kind of backing and support. And then we ended up in number 10, and we had like 800 kind of housing people who wanted to kind of invest or buy in the product. And it was at this point, after the 16 weeks, we were supposed to go back to the day job. It was supposed to be like, oh yeah, well done, you came with an idea, just go back to your job now. And that's when it clicked for me to say, absolutely cannot do that. I was like, I've promised my gran that she will have these rails in her house. I can't let her down. So we kind of, a couple of us just couldn't let it go. And went back to our organisation. We kind of tried to put together a business case. Not that we knew that much about putting together that kind of thing at that point in time. We went out for investment, and we got the backing of some housing associations who helped then turn us into a business, which kind of, I guess, brings us to the January 2020, which is when we incorporated officially. So it was a bit of a whirlwind journey, really. And it was learning a lot in a very short space of time, because I worked in PR and comms marketing. So I didn't know anything about aging, didn't know anything about running a business, didn't know anything about product manufacturing, design. But I think, again, that I guess going back to what I'd said earlier, that if you believe in something, you're passionate about it, it doesn't matter. You can kind of drive through and get to the point that you need to make it successful, as long as you collaborate and bring the people on board that can help with the areas that you don't know about. So yeah, it has been a bit of a crazy journey, to be honest.
Honestly, I just think it's incredible because I'm a chartered mechanical engineer, and we used to do at uni modules. We did one to design better wheelchairs. One was actually with families with cerebral palsy. How could you help improve their lives? And that's what kind of grabbed me. So actually, one of my former guests is a lady called Elena, and she taught that module. But the idea that kind of twigged to me to actually genuinely improve people's lives, it was massive. And I've kind of now taken that course as well. But it was almost to hear you do it, and especially as an English background, or English major, as the Americans would say.
Yeah.
It's amazing because you'd think you would need product design or mechanical engineering or whichever. So genuinely, like, super impressive. And but again, it shows that almost anyone can do anything if you put your mind to it.